Good evening again. I'd like to call the committee of the whole for the Village of Cary for Tuesday, June 15, 2021 to order. With roll call, please.
Collier?
Here.
McAlpine?
Here.
Sabelli?
Here.
Weinhammer?
Here.
Walrus?
Here.
Judith?
Here.
Would you join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now turning it over to public comments. Is there anybody who would like to address the committee of the whole? We have nobody here that would like to address the committee of the whole, so we'll go ahead and close that at 7:29.
Glad you stayed with us, Mr. Miller.
On to the discussion about ordinance 0200702, which authorized temporary outdoor seating for food and beverage consumption and liquor licensing authority.
Mayor, Village Board, got a few slides here to go through. This was an ordinance that we had approved last year during the COVID-19 pandemic, temporary in nature, and how we crafted it was that it would terminate if the board chose to terminate it, or if we reached phase 5. And so we've reached phase 5 here in the state. And so we've dusted off the ordinance and want to get your feedback on how you want to handle this ordinance. It's 200702. And would we like to modify things, make things permanent, continue as is?
Well, I've been in contact with all the board members.
I've got some more slides to go
I
through.
apologize. My gosh, what's with
Someone else is doing the slides, so there's a little delay. Sorry about that. Yeah. Just wanted to remind the public, and also a refresher, I guess, for our new board members too, of it's unrelated but related to this ordinance, is some of the items here that the board and staff have worked through to help out our businesses during the COVID-19 pandemic. We've heard loud and clear from our board through the last year and a half to find ways to help our businesses. And so not going through every one here, but we touched on the first one earlier in the village board meeting, just about the alfresco alley and how that's been popular. We're also very proud of being able to get a state grant here of $500,000 of money outside the village of Cary to bring into our business community. And that was funding that didn't come from our pocketbooks. And so we're proud of what we've been able to accomplish here in working together, working with the board, working with staff, and working with our business community here to help them, get through the last year and a half. Now, getting back to the ordinance at hand, the feedback we're seeking here this evening is related to the ordinance 200702. And with that ordinance, we allowed for some temporary actions. The ordinance is in front of you too, Village Board. Those temporary actions, 1, 2, 3, and 4. The first being flexibility in outdoor seating. The second being we allowed for packaged alcohol sales to occur at businesses that aren't licensed for such. The third is allowing for cocktails to go. Never thought we'd contemplate that, but the pandemic makes you do interesting things. And then finally, fourthly, and I think more of what our discussion will be about tonight, is about the consumption of alcoholic beverages within the public right-of-way. So recommendation from staff here and how we recommend we proceed is making these last two permanent in nature. Certainly the board could make changes through the ordinance if we needed to change it, but I look at this as being permanent. The other two, the first two that I had mentioned with the flexibility in outdoor seating and the allowing for non-licensee to have packaged goods, to sell packaged goods, we are recommending those be phased out. So we are recommending to work together with our staff, the chief, obviously, Director Simmons, our legal counsel, to put together an ordinance to allow for cocktails to go, but then allow for the flexibility to continue with the consumption of alcoholic beverages within the public right-of-way. And the slight modification here for the consumption of alcoholic beverages within the public right-of-way, if you recall what we did when the pandemic started, we were assisting businesses throughout the community. We didn't really know how, when we put out tables for the consumption of alcohol within the right-of-way, how these businesses would use those. And so you can see on the left of what we've allowed on a temporary basis for the last year, plus or minus. There are areas, commercial areas generally throughout the village where we had those, beverage license holders, and we tried to accommodate them. And some areas have been used more than others, certainly. What we're recommending here going forward with the consumption of alcoholic beverages within the right-of-way is to focus just within the downtown area. So you can see on the right there in the blue, we'd be looking at High Road, West Main Street, Spring Street, and Jandis Road. And so that's one of the items that we're looking for feedback from here from the village board. The guidelines of what we're proposing too and how we continue with the consumption of alcoholic beverages within the right-of-way. And again, this is just what staff has developed here initially for comment from the board, but hours we've limited from noon to 9 p.m. Obviously 21 and older. Alcoholic beverages must be consumed within a clear plastic cup. You'd have to purchase these. They'd be have to dispensed, I guess is a language that we came up with, from a license holder within the service area. So it'd have to be within that downtown area. We'd limit it to beer and wine and one beverage per person. So again, just circling back, and now is time here, Mayor, for the comments from the board, but looking for your feedback, Village Board, on how you'd like to proceed with this this temporary ordinance that we're recommending. A few components be moved on a permanent basis.
Before I stepped on you, I apologize. I had conversations or communication with board members. They are generally in favor of this, and I was hoping that we can get some reflection from the board on this right now. Start with Trustee McAlpine.
Wow, put me right on the hot seat.
What? Yeah.
I guess my first question is I'm going to defer to the chief, and have we found any problems with this? So I mean, to me, that's a very big component to whether or not we should be doing this.
Related to this, we haven't had any problems in regards to consumption or use of outdoor areas on the public way for consumption, either food or alcohol, that I'm aware of right now.
Great. Then with that in mind, then I am fine with proceeding.
Okay. Trustee Collier?
My question is, why do we want to limit it to downtown only? What was the thought process with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when we look at it, you want to mention something?
Well, we do have an ordinance that prohibits the consumption of alcoholic beverages on the public way. In fact, it's streets, alleys, and public places. It's found under offenses against public decency. So generally, it's not allowed. There's an exception that's allowed, and that's through the liquor commissioner, and that's what's been used to allow the consumption of alcoholic beverages on the public way in certain areas. So, and I think that the downtown is probably the most conducive. We spoke about other areas, and I had concerns about traffic and the proximity of the public way, which is the parkway, to roadways that would be near those businesses.
Thank you.
I'd add too is, for the most part, I mean, we see the use downtown. I think containing it might make it easier. I defer to the chief, but containing it too within the downtown area, whether, it's just smattered throughout the village. And again, when we started this, going back a year, I mean, it was just a trial. We were trying different
Right.
things. It was never meant to be long-term. And I think it's time to tighten it up. Yeah.
Does that go along with why you're thinking on the first item, not allowing the flexibility for the location of the outdoor seating?
Yeah.
Just changing that just more to downtown?
It was, these 4 items, last July, I mean, things were kind of, goofy. And, I look at that first item, yeah, we have an ordinance that allows for the outdoor seating. They, folks can comply with that. And the second item too, since we're having the conversation, if folks want to get the packaged good, the liquor license for that, they can come to us and get that liquor license.
Several already do.
Yeah,
Right.
correct,
No,
Right.
correct.
But what you got to also remember too, the reason we allowed for the expansion of the outdoor seating is because
Sit inside.
you couldn't sit inside.
Right.
Now we have all these establishments that can go back to full occupancy and they can comply. And a lot of these other restaurants have outdoor seating
seating.
already. So we're just tightening it up. They're able to service their patrons on the interior as well as the outdoor seating. And people can come to us and ask for additional outdoor seating. We're not saying no, we're
Right.
just saying we're not going to, nothing's with a broad stroke anymore. We're just going to tighten it up. I think we've shown that we've been very flexible. I think now that with phase 5, actually, starting last week, that, really should have expired on the 11th when it did. So we're trying to be a little bit proactive with regards to this so that we can convey to the license holders what our new rules are going to be going forward.
And I would also contend that we would place some type of notice in these areas where people can't carry the beverage outside of this area that we're identifying or defining. And I look at it conceptually as just putting a roof over the roadways and looking at it like it's a business.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Trustee Dudek?
My question was answered by the chief already. I was concerned and I wanted to hear his input. The only other thing I would ask you, chief, is, last year outside was your only option and there wasn't that many people even doing it. I think people just didn't understand the impacts of COVID and everybody was being cautious. That's changed big time. So even if you limit it just to the downtown, do you have plans during the summer to have any additional officers just walking around and patrolling, given the fact that there's going to be a lot more people out?
Yeah, I spoke about that with the village administrator, and actually where this probably becomes most evident is like during our cruise nights. Right. I think that's where it's going to become more popular, and in essence, right now, it was allowed. So, there was nothing that we could do to stop it at this point because we already allowed it once, and now we're just going to redefine it and kind of contain it and regulate it so that it is easier to enforce. No one under 21, not in your vehicle, not beyond a certain point. We wanted it in a clear container so we knew what people were drinking. You can't bring your own and then drink it in that area, things like that.
We will probably have an extra body around during cruise night.
Yeah, we discussed
There's always
that.
someone there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I have no problems with
Yeah,
it.
but I also anticipate that there'll be some imbibing during perhaps Mary Carey Parade, things like that. I'm just guessing.
Just saying.
After 12 noon.
Yeah, by the way, yeah, it's defined 12 to 9 because we didn't want to open it up and have it, the same time period as it would be for like a licensed premise.
So even on Spring Street right now, after 9 PM, they're not allowed to serve alcohol out there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
at 9,
pinched
yeah.
at 9.
Okay.
Yeah, yep.
Trustee Cavelli, you have any comments?
Comment I just had a question, why it's being limited to beer and wine only?
Yeah, just in regards to it being able to be regulated, that's it. In terms of trying to figure out what someone's drinking in regards to mixers and things like that, where you can't tell exactly what they're drinking.
Trustee Walrath, any comments, questions?
I'm certainly in favor of this as prevented. I think it ties in nicely to the town plan of the future. It's kind of staying a step ahead of that. If that's the route we want downtown area to go, then this is a good preparation for that.
Thank you. Trustee Weinhammer?
No, Mayor, you and I had emailed back and forth, and then I also had a separate phone call with Jake about this, and I'm fine with that.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it. Okay, I think we've got our marching orders for this. So we'll put this on the consent agenda next meeting?
Yeah, we'll work with our team and try to get that on the next agenda.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ballmer,
Yes.
Collier,
Yes.
Weinheimer,
Yes.
Sabelli,
Yes.
McAlpine,
Yes.
Hudak,
Yes.
We get everyone?
That's everybody. Thank you very much. We are adjourned.